What's the challenge, the biggest challenge, when it comes to VA sleep apnea disability claims? I'm going to get into it. Hey, welcome back everybody. Today we're talking about sleep apnea, and we're going to talk specifically about the challenge of the objective evidence that comes along with sleep apnea. Now, in case you haven't seen on other videos, and there's a lot of videos out there, so I haven't covered it on my channel, but in case you haven't seen, there's a lot of changes going on with sleep apnea. I think if you if you want to get your best rating, I would get your claim in today. Put that intent to file out in the VA. Just get one out there. Make sure you always have one out there. So let's talk about sleep apnea specifically. Currently, maybe not by the end of the week, maybe not by the end of the month, but currently there are 4 real ratings that you'll get, the criteria for ratings that you'll get based on diagnostic code 6847, which is what they use for sleep apnea. All this can be found in the 38 CFR, by the way. A 50% rating for sleep apnea requires the consistent use of a CPAP device, right? A 30% is characterized by persistent daytime tiredness, hypersomnolence, right? A 10% is a documented sleep disorder evidence with symptoms like snoring, gasping, choking during sleep, etc. And a 0% rating is it's asymptomatic, but it's documented. So the target goal here is 50%, right? If you use a CPAP, your target goal is 50%. Objective evidence is where it's hard to do. And objective evidence comes down to several things, right? There's a lot of challenges that some veterans face getting this objective evidence. Number 1, access to sleep studies. I would call it by its real name, but I don't know if I can. It's Polysomnography. Yeah, something like that. I'm not that smart. It's a sleep study. These tests are often conducted in a specific facility, a specific health care setting. They have you come in, they hook you up to all these machines, they leave you overnight. Another one is that they can give you one to take home, and you do a sleep study and you bring it back. Problem is that veterans that struggle with mobility have a hard time getting to these appointments. If they live too far out, if they're apprehensive, if they have PTSD and they can't really get into that type of a thing, it really makes getting that sleep study, kind of burdensome on the veteran. Next thing is financial barriers, right? VA healthcare covers certain services, but there can still be financial barriers, right? If you need services outside the VA, if your sleep studies you need to be done outside the VA and you have to do them at cost to you, you may not have the out-of-pocket funds. And quite honestly, if you don't end up with the CPAP or you don't end up with a disability because of it, it can still cost you money even going through the VA. So just be aware of that. Next one is the documentation of CPAP usage. For a higher disability rating, the documentation of CPAP usage has to be there, like I mentioned before. I use mine every night. I can't sleep without it anymore, sadly. But the deal is that I can prove that I'm using it because I got my sleep study done through the VA. It automatically sends information to the VA, so they already know I'm using that thing every night and how much it's helping me. So a lot of veterans, because of PTSD or other reasons, allergic rhinitis, sinusitis, have a hard time using a CPAP mask all night long. But you need to try and get that documentation of at least trying to use it. I apologize, I'm still fighting asthma. You have to have a strategy also for overcoming those evidentiary challenges, right? If you don't have the evidence, you have to have a strategy for coming up with why that evidence is missing, right? And I think that there's a million videos out there that cover this. I just wanted to bring it up as a point of topic, right? Next thing is comprehensive medical records. Make sure that you have medical records that show You have gone to the doctor. You've sought out treatment. You've asked the doctor, hey, I'm snoring. I'm waking up in the middle of the night gasping for air. I'm not getting sleep. I've got fatigue all day long. You have to get comprehensive with your medical records. So make sure all your medical records, private and VA, are all documented very, very well, and that you go see the doctor for all those symptoms, because that's going to help you a lot. Next one is lay statements. Buddy statements, right? Although they're not really considered factual evidence, they are extremely helpful when they're done right. Look on YouTube for other videos about lay statements. I've got one on this channel about buddy statements. So look those things up and make sure that you take a look at those, because those are extremely important. They can really benefit you. On the inverse side of that, they can really hurt you if you don't do them the right way, right? So, cool. All right. Next one is consistent communication with healthcare providers. This means you're constantly seeking help for this, right? Constantly doesn't mean you're calling them every week saying, I can't breathe. It means once a month, once every 2 months, once every, twice a year or whatever. You're constantly in communication with your healthcare providers. Make sure they know what you're suffering from, because with sleep apnea, that is a huge deal. Next thing is quite honestly looking at professional credibility, right? Professional credibility means you're going to see a doctor and they're willing to write down that you have sleep apnea. Maybe they're willing to fill out a DBQ for you. Maybe they are willing to write a nexus letter for you, but you need to make sure that you have the credibility of a real good doctor or real good medical records to help a whole lot with this, right? So make sure that you look at all this objective evidence, right? And then bring it all together, create one big package, take a look at it, get with your VSO, ask your VSO, hey, is this enough? And if the VSO says, I think you're going to be missing, you're going to be a little light on this, you're going to be a little heavy on that, do you have other records, etc.? The VSOs are there to help you. If a VSO tries to charge you for anything, walk away, tell them to shove it, because they're not allowed to do that, and go get yourself a VSO that'll help you for free. All right, take care of each other, y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and then leave me some comments. Take care.